Do they not know, like, when she was gone, it went back to the year before she was in the league?
Former NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas has just sent a powerful message to those targeting Caitlin Clark within the WNBA, and it's one they can't afford to ignore. While Clark continues to drive record-breaking TV ratings, sell out arenas, and bring in unprecedented attention and revenue to the league, some players risk undoing all that progress. Arenas' warning makes one thing clear: this isn't just about one player, it's about the future of the entire WNBA.
We got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face.
Right now, WNBA players are entering what could be the most important negotiation of their careers: the next collective bargaining agreement. Tensions are rising, frustrations are being voiced publicly, and both sides are preparing for a showdown. But here's the twist: what's unfolding might end up being one of the biggest strategic mistakes in recent sports history. Many players don't seem to realize the risk they're taking, a move that could unintentionally unravel everything Caitlin Clark has helped build for the league. While some within the league remain unaware, fans and analysts across the country are already sounding the alarm. And it's not just talk anymore. The momentum behind the idea of Caitlin Clark launching her own league is growing fast. What started off as speculation is starting to feel like a real possibility. Based on how this season has unfolded, Clark may have no choice but to take matters into her own hands. In a moment, we'll break down Gilbert Arenas' recent comments and the growing signs that a major shift could be on the horizon. So stick around until the end and let me know in the comments if you agree with this prediction or if you think it's still too early to tell. But first, if you believe Caitlin Clark should build something of her own, drop a checkmark in the comments. And don't forget to like the video to help more fans find the truth. Now, let's rewind to a moment that might have predicted it all.
If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility, for real.
Yeah.
This clip features Angel Reese and Dejanai Carrington speaking confidently about upcoming CBA negotiations before the season even began. But let's just say the public reaction was far from supportive. And to be clear, it's not that fans think WNBA players don't deserve better pay. That conversation is long overdue. Everyone agrees the league is moving toward improved compensation, and rightfully so. After all, it's hard to justify a world where Caitlin Clark earns less than someone managing a car wash. What truly caught people off guard wasn't the message, it was the delivery, the boldness, the attitude, and most of all, the disconnect from reality. Because the truth is, the power dynamic in the league has shifted, and right now, one player holds that leverage: Caitlin Clark. We don't need charts or financial reports to prove it. Just take a look at this clip. It says everything you need to know.
When she came into the league, obviously interest went way up and some of the finances went way up, but there was some argument that it was a little bit of, a rising tide lifts all boats. But here we go with Caitlin Clark singularly being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is. And everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about and her star power, you got it.
Let's break it down clearly. Whenever Caitlin Clark is on the court, the viewership numbers soar. And when she's not, the ratings take a major hit. At this point, it's not an opinion. It's proven by the data. But here's where things take a surprising turn. While Clark continues to fuel the league's growth and national attention, some players have responded with increased hostility. The tension, the envy, it's becoming more obvious with each passing week. And for many fans, and even some in the media, the recent All-Star voting felt like a tipping point, a moment that exposed just how deep the divide really is.
Ninth best guard in the league. Don't try to give me the excuses of, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Come on, this is insanity. And I think it's an activist vote by the women of the WNBA who simply cannot stand her success. It's so dumb and it's so childish.
Caitlin Clark led all WNBA players in fan voting by a landslide. Yet, when it came time for the player vote, she wasn't even placed among the top 4 guards. In fact, she ranked 9th, not 9th overall, 9th among guards. That's despite being a rookie with MVP level numbers and handling a brutal schedule filled with injuries and relentless defensive pressure. Let's be honest, teams aren't treating her like the 9th best guard. She's double teamed the moment she steps past half court. She's literally the focus of every scouting report. But here's where it gets serious. Every time players or insiders downplay Caitlyn's impact, they risk pushing away the very audience she brought into the league. And once you alienate those fans, it's not just about losing viewership. You lose the opportunity to convert them into lifelong WNBA supporters. Right now, a growing number of Caitlyn Clark's fans feel disconnected from the league. Some are even cheering for her to leave and start something new. They don't just want her to succeed, they want her to outgrow the WNBA. That divide is only deepening, especially with talk of a potential player strike. If that happens, the league could lose this new fan base for good. And here's the twist. The players leading the charge in these negotiations may have more at stake and more personal bias than they're willing to admit.
Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The owner of a competing basketball league is negotiating the salaries of players who are playing in the league they're competing against? But KC, Unrivaled isn't competing with the WNBA. Unrivaled was launched so WNBA players had the opportunity to make six-figure salaries that they could never earn in the WNBA. I'm pretty sure that is the definition of conflict of interest.
Two major voices at the forefront of the WNBA's current collective bargaining talks, Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, aren't just representing players. They also co-founded Unrivaled, a new professional league with backing from outside investors, a national TV deal, and commitments from many of the WNBA's rising stars. So while they're negotiating the future of the WNBA, they also hold the keys to a potential competitor. That conflict of interest raises serious questions, and it's starting to make some fans uneasy. It's hard to build trust when two of the league's most influential players are essentially creating a backup plan, and for fans who've rallied around Caitlyn Clark and everything she's brought to the game, there's a growing concern. What if the league she helped elevate doesn't actually value her? That brings us back to former NBA star Gilbert Arenas, because in the middle of all this tension, the player power moves, the business chess games, and the internal division, he said something the WNBA truly needs to hear.
Just enjoy and go on with it.
Yeah.
Like, think about what they was getting paid before they said, Jordan, you're the guy. What do you think Magic and Bird and all them making? Do you know how much Charles Barkley was making his rookie year before the TV deals that Jordan brung in? If you're making $40,000, every 5 months, and now you're making 80, then just do your job.
And vote for the person who got you there. Yeah, that's weird.
Gilbert Arenas has plenty more to say, but let's take a moment to reflect on something that's shocking to a lot of people. Right now, the WNBA has its own version of a generational icon, someone often compared to Michael Jordan. Caitlyn Clark is drawing historic viewership numbers, packing arenas, and pushing the league into an entirely new media landscape. Reports suggest the WNBA's next media rights deal could be worth around $270 million per year. That's nearly $3 billion over the life of the agreement. It's no coincidence that the league is opening up early negotiations on the collective bargaining agreement. But despite everything Clark is bringing to the table, tension and personal drama continue to overshadow progress, and Gilbert makes a strong case. The league may be so caught up in ego and infighting that it's missing the bigger picture entirely.
Eat, y'all eat.
Clean up. Let me clean up. I got y'all.
Like this is what you wanted. This is what you needed, that we're not watching you for your talent. Someone came in that everybody wants to watch, kids, everybody. Now we can see your talent.
This really isn't complicated. Caitlyn Clark's spotlight doesn't just benefit her, it lifts the entire league. Her presence draws national attention, and that visibility spreads to every team she plays against. Just take the Indiana Fever as an example. Even when Clark isn't on the court, their games are still pulling in over 1 million viewers, more than twice the viewership of many other teams. And Gilbert Arenas nailed it with one powerful statement: when she eats, everyone eats. He's not the first former player to point out the obvious. Caitlyn's success is creating opportunities for everyone in the WNBA, whether they choose to recognize it or not.
I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else. And I think Caitlyn has said that even herself in certain interviews. And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the the big deal is about the fact that Caitlyn is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of other players have.
But according to Gilbert Arenas, this may be where WNBA players made their biggest mistake. Their biggest miscalculation wasn't just underestimating Caitlin Clark, it was believing they could criticize her, downplay her impact, and dismiss her growing fan base without facing any real consequences. What they failed to consider is one crucial reality. The spotlight she brings isn't just bright, it's powerful, and ignoring that power could cost them more than they realize.
If you're sitting there beating it up and doing all this, all y'all become is hated. Like, have y'all not paid attention? No one is caring about anything else. You want to beat on it, they're going to hate on it. You want to talk, they're going to hate on it. Like, there comes a point where reality has to kick in. You can keep fighting the fight, and you're gonna be the odd person that looks bad.
And that's the heart of the issue. Instead of welcoming Caitlin Clark's massive fan base and turning them into long-term supporters of the WNBA, some players chose the opposite path. Jealousy and resentment led to subtle jabs and dismissive behavior that ultimately pushed those new fans away. Fans who were eager to support the league and invest in its future. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever took a different approach. Their Now You Know campaign sent a clear and powerful message. Fans don't need approval or instructions on how to support women's basketball. They're already here and they're welcome. That inclusive mindset worked. Even when Caitlin Clark isn't on the court, Fever games continue to lead the league in viewership. Despite other challenges this season, the Fever have gotten one thing absolutely right. They've embraced the people who are showing up. Unfortunately, the league as a whole hasn't done the same. And now, a growing divide has formed, not just between Fever supporters and other teams, but between Clark's fan base and the WNBA itself. This widening disconnect is where things get dangerous. As players enter the most critical CBA negotiations of their careers, many believe fans will return no matter what, but that may not happen. If fans feel shut out or disrespected, they won't wait around. And that's the trap being set, one that could have lasting consequences for the entire league.
I never remember this being true before, but I think it is true for her. Never been true in team sports. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than Caitlin Clark needs the WNBA. If the league will not protect her and allow her to play basketball at the highest level, then she should leave and start a brand new league. Heck, I would invest in it. If you told me right now, hey, Clay, you can invest in Caitlin Clark or you can invest in the WNBA without Caitlin Clark, I would invest in Caitlin Clark's new league. I just would.
There was a time when the idea of Caitlin Clark stepping away from the WNBA felt impossible. Every decision she's made so far has shown nothing but commitment to the league. That's why she chose not to participate in the NBA All-Star Weekend's three-point contest, because she wanted her first official three-point shootout to happen on the WNBA stage. It's also the reason she declined a lucrative offer, reportedly worth $1 million, to play in Unrivaled. She didn't want exhibition play. She wanted the real game, 5-on-5, high-level competition, and the chance to build something lasting. For Caitlin, this has never just been about money. It's always been about legacy, but now that unwavering loyalty may be starting to shift, and here's why.
I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen, so they got to get control of it. They got to be better. They got to be better.
Can you specifically detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words?
Get control of the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Right, and consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor.
If you pay close attention to that moment when Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White is passionately confronting the referees, Caitlin Clark's reaction says it all. Her facial expressions, her body language, every gesture reflects frustration. She's not just hearing the complaints, she's clearly in agreement, and it wasn't subtle. After enduring multiple physical plays, including hard contact and missed calls, it's clear she's reaching a breaking point. This wasn't an isolated incident, it followed a game where she was visibly targeted with little to no response from officials. And by now, it's obvious. This isn't about one call or one bad night. This has become a broader issue affecting games across the league. Don't just take our word for it. Listen to how coaches throughout the WNBA are adjusting their approach, because they've all noticed the same thing.
Coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter sweeter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
Let's talk about why the conversation around a potential new league is becoming more serious, especially for someone like Caitlin Clark. The ongoing issues with officiating aren't just frustrating anymore. They're becoming a real safety concern. Some coaches have reportedly instructed their teams to play more physically, knowing referees are unlikely to call it. That's not strategic basketball, it's a dangerous trend. And so far, the league hasn't stepped in to make meaningful changes. For Caitlin, this is about more than just missed calls. Her entire career path is on the line. Up until now, she's been fortunate to avoid serious injuries, but all it takes is one reckless play to derail everything. A major injury like a torn ACL wouldn't just affect her, it could undo all the momentum that's brought new fans, sponsorship deals, and national coverage to the WNBA. Right now, the league is promoting the physicality of the game as a selling point, but if you really listen to Caitlin, she's made it clear she believes the future of women's basketball lies in showcasing skill, not conflict. She wants the focus on talent, not toughness.
It's been in the news a lot recently that the NBA ratings are down. Should we brainstorm a few ideas to bring back ratings into the NBA? What do you think?
I've been asking a lot of people about this and why they think they're down. I would say, honestly, I feel like the average just basketball fan doesn't understand how good NBA players are, and they think it looks like they're not trying. I promise you they're trying. They're just so good. Maybe people want more beef and physicality, and people think it's gotten soft, but I think that's also because the skill has just changed.
When it comes to women's basketball, most fans are tuning in to watch Caitlin Clark's incredible skill set, not physical confrontations or unnecessary roughness. It's her sharp shooting, court vision, and basketball IQ that have drawn millions to the sport. And it raises an important point. A league that highlights talent, creativity, and exciting gameplay, especially with Caitlin at the center, would likely perform even better in terms of viewership. Once again, Gilbert Arenas hits the nail on the head with his analysis.
It was something I studied when I was playing. What makes this 25 points a game
that should be your
better than this 25 points a game? It's the same 25.
That should be your
How is
It's
he,
not the same 25.
How is, but
that should be your slogan.
How is he a super mega star and this guy is nobody and they're averaging the same? So I had to ask, hey, what makes him more appealing? And the owner, our owner, after a game, he pointed and he said, look at him. He said, look at him during the game.
Yep.
Waving, shaking hands, eating popcorn.
That's it.
This is entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
And he's entertaining.
When you look at everything happening right now, it's hard not to ask the big question. If the league won't protect Caitlin Clark, and some players continue to downplay her impact, how long before she decides to take a different path? At this point, it's clear Caitlin has the platform, the influence, and the leverage to create real change. And she doesn't need to wait. Now, let's be realistic. While she has the star power to spark a brand new league, building one from the ground up isn't simple, especially while playing a full WNBA season. Managing both would be nearly impossible, and if she took time away from the spotlight to work behind the scenes, especially overseas, there's a risk that her visibility and influence could fade in the eyes of the public. That could affect any league launch later down the road, but there's a smarter option that would require far less risk. Clark could simply signal interest in joining Unrivaled, not just as a player, but as an owner, with the condition that it expands to full 5-on-5 play. That one move could shift the entire balance of power overnight. If she stepped on the court for a new league, ratings would surge, advertisers would take notice, and networks like Fox Sports might want in immediately. Meanwhile, the WNBA could face a dramatic drop in attention without its biggest draw, and if word got out that Caitlin Clark was seriously considering ownership in a rival league, there's no doubt the NBA and Commissioner Adam Silver would intervene. After all, the NBA has invested heavily in supporting the WNBA, and losing Clark over officiating concerns and player safety would be a massive blow. Now, there's no easy fix for jealousy or personal dynamics, but ensuring players' safety and holding officials accountable, that's well within the league's control, and it should have been addressed long ago. In fact, the league's current setup may give Caitlin the perfect play. If players like Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier can sit at the collective bargaining table while owning part of a rival league, there's no reason Caitlin Clark couldn't use that same model to gain influence, without sacrificing her brand, her earnings, or her legacy. So what do you think? Is this the power move she needs to make? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.